Guys, welcome back to Welcome Home Custom. Today we are going to learn how to paint and assemble our DIY windmill. Let's get started. Okay, so when you open the files, you'll want to go straight to the DIY, and we're going to open the backer first. You will see that there are two different colors of scored numbers. There's blue and there's gray. So this is so that we can actually ignore the blue and create more of a 3D effect by painting the backer with watercolor and leaving those pieces out. So I'm going to just flip those off. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to check my green box, make sure it's 1 inch. And now I can just delete this green box. Don't forget to refer to the instructions PDF in the folder to review all of the cut by color instructions. Okay, now after the backer is cut, we are going to open the design portion of the windmill. Now keep in mind again, it has the blue numbers and the gray numbers. We're going to ignore the blue numbers. Check our green 1 inch box and send it to the laser. Now keep in mind we are cutting this upside down so that we can score the numbers on the back and making the pieces easier to place. I chose to use walnut so that I didn't have to paint all of the windmill itself. All the wooden posts are the actual natural wood. With that said, I like to mask the good side of my wood, and then I place the good side face down in the laser. That way we prevent any flashback from showing up on the good side of the pieces. So now we're going to jump right into painting. We are going to need a few more things than normal for one of my projects. We will need a gray spray paint, a black spray paint, a white acrylic paint, a black acrylic paint, a silver metallic paint, ground cinnamon, and watercolors. I also recommend picking up some chippy paintbrushes as well as a paintbrush for your watercolors. Last, you will need a shellac to seal in your beautiful piece once you're done. Okay, so let's head outside. We're going to spray paint the windmill blades along with the frame of the DIY windmill kit. So grab your gray spray paint and spray those blades until they're completely coated. You'll notice that I put mine on blue tape. I find this much easier to have all the pieces sorted onto a piece of tape and the pieces don't go flying away. Next, what we're going to do is spray the frame of the windmill. I made mine black. You don't have to do that. You could do any color you wish, or you could even leave it natural. Okay, so while that dries, we're going to move on to watercolors. I started with my lightest yellow and just worked up from the sun and just gradually got darker using warm tones, but going from an orange to a red to kind of a purple, just similar to what you would see in a sunrise or sunset. And I really didn't worry about going over the lines or messing up because all of those pieces that are numbered will be covered once we're all done. Just have fun with it, play around, add a little water, take a little water off, whatever you decide might be fun to do. Just keep in mind, more water means your paint is more diluted, and the less water you use, the brighter and more intense your paint will be. And then you can check and see if you like it by placing the frame over the top. Now I am going to sort out some of my pieces that I am going to paint a little bit lighter than darker, and this is going to give it an illusion that the lighter pieces are further away. So if you would like that similar look, then go ahead and sort these pieces over to the side, but it is totally not necessary. Okay, so now it's time to paint. Grab your chippy brushes, your black and white acrylic paint, your silver metallic paint. First, we start with a little bit of silver, and we are going to dab over all of our pieces. We don't need to cover them completely with paint, but you are going to cover a lot of it with your silver paint. You're going to see a little bit of that gray peeking through, and that's okay. There's really no science to this. I'm just dabbing it on. I really just am going crazy. So I'm going to hit all of the pieces that I sorted out, including the ones that I set aside, with this silver paint. So the next color we're going to use is white. I did grab a new brush. I'm not going to use the silver brush. And I dabbed a little bit on my paintbrush and then dabbed just a little bit off onto the cardboard, as you can see. We just want it to be kind of splotchy. You still want a little bit of that silver to show through. Again, nothing crazy about it, just adding, these would be your highlights. Again, I'm going to cover all of the pieces, including the pieces that I set aside. And now we'll move on to the next color, which is black. And again, I'm just dabbing it on. I don't really, there's no rhyme or reason. Some of them are going to have a little bit more black. Some of them are going to have a little bit more silver poking through. It's okay. Don't get too upset about it. Now, the pieces that you did set aside, you're going to want to just go lightly on those with the black. You do want some black on it, but not as much as the other pieces that I just did. Okay, so now for the fun part. We are going to add some more silver back onto these pieces. Just doing a quick once over like we've done the other layers. But now we're going to grab cinnamon. We're going to shake it over the top, and then grabbing each piece, kind of tap off any extra cinnamon that didn't stick. And you can reuse this cinnamon. Anything that flakes off, just collect it and put it into a little container for another project like this. Just don't consume it. So I just am going to continue to work through painting silver and then sprinkling cinnamon onto the pieces, tapping them off, brushing them off, just working through one by one, and until I'm completely done. Now you'll notice again those little pieces I set off to the side. The only difference is we just went a little bit wider with them, so they're just a little bit brighter than your other blades. Again, you're still going to do the cinnamon trick just like you did everything else. Now we want to take these pieces outside and give them a good coat of shellac or polyurethane. Now it's time to plan out our colors. Don't forget about your color planner in the file folder. I'm just working through my piece one by one. I use some Home Depot paint. I find that I really like the way it covers, and then I also enjoy how fast it dries. I know I kind of got off the camera a little bit, but with the barn, on the front facing of the barn that is furthest away from the sun, I actually painted black first and then added red to it so that it has more of a shaded look to it rather than the side that has the sun hitting it. So we're adding a little bit of dimension by adding these highlights and shadows. For the pond, I decided to do some green and some blue, highlighting my green on the edges and my blue in the middle, giving it this feel of depth. And then at the end, I decided just to make the duck black. So that's more of just a silhouette. Now remember how I said that I used walnut for my DIY? So I'm able to just add those pieces in and not even paint them so that it looks like a wooden windmill. And now my favorite part, we get to add our blades back into the windmill itself. And look how good that rest looks. Polyurethane and shellac really darken the cinnamon and play well with the metal. So we're almost done. We are nearing the finish line. What we're going to do is use a board a little bit bigger than our windmill and flip the entire piece upside down so that we can expose the back. Now I'm going to grab out my silicone tray and my Titebond 3 glue, and I'm just going to dab glue all over the pieces that are upside down. Work all the way around, including the windmill, the frame, everything. Now we could also use 3M. That probably would work as well. It might be a little bit more difficult to see the numbers if we use 3M, but it still is going to work. So just coat all of the frame and the pieces. The smaller, thin pieces of the sun itself is not as important because we don't have pieces sitting in there. So now we're going to just take our backer, flip it over, place it right on top, and try to get the sides lined up, and then we're going to flip it right side up. Check our alignment, place the board back on top, and weigh it down. Okay, well that's it. I hope you found this tutorial helpful. Make sure to subscribe to see more videos like this. Thanks so much.